10 R&B songs that didn't just top the charts in the 1980s, they shattered sales records that some artists are still chasing today. We're talking diamond certifications. 18 million copies worldwide, songs that went number one in 28 countries. You've heard every one of these tracks. You've probably sung along to half of them at a cookout, a wedding, or a late night drive. But what you might not know is just how dominant these songs really were. This is the story of the best-selling R&B singles of an entire decade. And trust me, the numbers are going to surprise you. Number 10, All Night Long, All Night, Lionel Richie, 1983. Lose yourself in wild romance. Lionel Richie had already proven himself as hitmaker with the Commodores, but when he went solo in 1982, nobody was ready for what came next. All Night Long dropped in October 1983 as the lead single from his album, Can't Slow Down. And here's what you need to understand about that album. It sold 10 million copies in the United States alone. 10 million. That's not streaming equivalent. That's people walking into record stores, putting down cash, and taking the vinyl home. The album spent 160 weeks on the Billboard charts. 3 of those weeks, it sat at number 1. And All Night Long was the engine that started it all. But here's what most people don't know. The song was certified gold on December 12th, 1983, less than 2 months after it dropped. That's how fast people were buying it. Radio couldn't stop playing it. MTV had it in heavy rotation. And if you were at a party, a wedding, or a family reunion in 1983 or 1984, you heard this song. You know you did. Lionel mixed Caribbean vibes with pop hooks and R&B soul in a way that felt effortless. The song hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It dominated the adult contemporary chart. It crossed over so hard that it didn't even feel like crossover. It just felt like the song everybody needed to hear. And here's the thing about All Night Long. It wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural moment. The album it came from, Can't Slow Down, won the Grammy for Album of the Year in 1984. Lionel was competing against Bruce Springsteen, Prince, Tina Turner, and Cyndi Lauper. He beat all of them. That's the level we're talking about. Come on and sing along. If you were alive in 1983, you remember where you were when this song was everywhere. And if you weren't, you've still heard it 1,000 times. That's what a decade-defining hit sounds like. Number 9, Sweet Love, Anita Baker, 1986. Anita Baker had been around for years before Sweet Love dropped. She'd sung with Chapter 8. She'd released an album in 1983 that barely made a dent. The industry didn't know what to do with her voice, that warm, smoky, intimate tone that didn't sound like anything else on the radio. Then in 1986, she released Rapture, and everything changed. Sweet Love was the second single from that album. It hit radio in May 1986, and if you were listening to R&B stations that summer, you couldn't escape it. The song peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 2 on the R&B chart, number 3 on adult contemporary. It didn't just cross formats, it owned them. But here's what makes Sweet Love one of the best-selling R&B singles of the decade. The Rapture album sold 8 million copies worldwide, 5 million in the United States alone, and Sweet Love was the reason people walked into the store and bought it. That song won the Grammy for Best R&B Song in 1987. Anita Baker herself won Best R&B Vocal Performance. The industry finally understood what they had. And if you've ever been in love, real deep, I can't imagine my life without you love, you know this song. Because Anita wasn't singing it at you. She was singing to you. One person. Direct eye contact, no games, just truth. Sweet Love goes. Number 8, let's hear it for the boy, Deniece Williams, 1984. Deniece Williams had been Stevie Wonder's background singer. She'd already had hits. But when she recorded Let's Hear It for the Boy for the Footloose soundtrack, she had no idea what was about to happen.
Maybe he sings off key, but that's all right by me.
The song dropped in April 1984. By May 26th, it was number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It stayed there for 2 weeks. It also hit number 1 on the R&B chart, number 1 on the dance chart, number 2 in the UK. If you were on a dance floor anywhere in the world in 1984, you heard this song. But here's where the story gets interesting. The Footloose soundtrack became one of the best-selling soundtracks of the decade. 6 of its songs hit the Billboard Top 100. Let's Hear It for the Boy was the second single released from it, and it matched the success of the title track. That doesn't happen often. Soundtracks usually have one massive hit and then fade. Footloose had hit after hit, and Denice's track was right there at the top. Now here's what you might not know. When Deniece first recorded the songwriter Dean Pitchford thought it sounded too soft, too girlish. So Deniece flew from Los Angeles to New York under a deadline and re-recorded it late that same night after a long flight.
Anyway.
That second take, and the one you know, the one that sold millions, was done exhausted, under pressure, with no time to overthink it, and it's perfect. Sometimes the best art comes from desperation. The song is joyful. It's celebratory. It's about loving someone exactly as they are, even if they're not smooth, even if they're not polished. And in a decade full of polished production and synthesized perfection, that raw joy cut through everything. If you saw Footloose, you remember the scene. Kevin Bacon trying to teach Chris Penn how to dance. Penn struggling, this song playing. It's burned into pop culture, and 40 plus years later, Deniece Williams can still sing it note for note. Her voice hasn't aged a day. Number 7, Never Too Much, Luther Vandross, 1981. Luther Vandross had sung background for everybody. David Bowie, Diana Ross, Stevie Wonder, Chaka Khan, Donna Summer. He was the voice you heard on 1,000 records without knowing his name. By 1981, he was ready to step out front. Never Too Much was his debut solo album. The title track dropped in October 1981. It hit number 1 on the R&B chart for 2 weeks. It cracked the top 35 on the Hot 100. But here's what mattered. The album went double platinum, 2 million copies for a debut. From an artist most of the public didn't even know yet, the song itself is pure Luther. That smooth, velvety voice, the layered harmonies, the production that feels warm and intimate, even though it's meticulously crafted.
That's when you opened up your heart and you told me.
Luther wrote it. Luther produced it. Luther sang every vocal layer. This was his vision, start to finish. And here's the part people forget. Never Too Much wasn't just a hit when it dropped. It became a wedding staple, a cookout classic, a song that defined a specific kind of R&B sophistication. If you wanted to impress someone with your taste, you put on Luther. If you wanted to set a romantic mood, you put on Luther. He became the go-to voice for love, for longing, for desire that didn't need to shout to be heard. The album sold 25 million records worldwide over the course of his career, but Never Too Much, the debut, the introduction, moved 2 million copies on its own. That's how strong the first impression was. That's how undeniable the talent was. Luther had been waiting his whole life for this moment. He'd been the guy in the back, the hired gun, the session singer, and when he finally got his shot, he didn't waste it. He proved he belonged. He proved he was more than just a voice. He was an artist. If you don't know this song, you've still heard it. Someone played it at a party you went to. Someone's parent had it on vinyl. Someone slow danced to it when they thought nobody was watching. That's the legacy of Never Too Much is everywhere, even when you're not looking for it. Number 6, number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 weeks. It went platinum, but here's what made Beat It different from every other R&B song on the radio. And suddenly, Beat It wasn't just an R&B song. It wasn't just a pop song. It was a rock song. It was everything. Every black artist who came after him. But here's the part that still amazes me. Thrill of the album had 7 singles. All 7 of them hit the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. That's never happened before. Was the one that crossed the hardest line. The one between R&B and rock, between black radio and white radio, between what the industry thought was possible and what Michael proved was inevitable. The song itself is about walking away from violence, choosing peace over confrontation, and that message resonated in 1983. Gang violence was rising, street culture was getting harder, and here was Michael Jackson, the biggest star in the world, saying you don't have to fight, you can just beat it. Walk away. Live to see another day. You slid across the kitchen floor in your socks. That's the power Michael had. Millions. It won Grammys. It changed MTV. It proved that R&B could go anywhere, sound like anything, and still be undeniable. Number 5, Sexual Healing, Marvin Gaye, 1982. Marvin Gaye was in exile when he recorded Sexual Healing, literally. He was living in Belgium, running from the IRS, running from his past, trying to figure out if he even had a future in music anymore. He hadn't had a major hit in years. The industry had moved on. Disco was fading. Synthesizers were taking over. And here was Marvin, the Prince of Motown, wondering if anyone still cared. Then he recorded Sexual Healing, and the answer was loud and clear. Yes, people still cared. The song dropped in October 1982. It hit number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 1 on the R&B chart for 10 weeks. 10. It went on to sell over 6 million copies worldwide. The album it came from, Midnight Love, went triple platinum in the United States. And this was Marvin's first release after leaving Motown. His first release on Columbia Records, his first single in years, and it was massive. But here's what made Sexual Healing so important. Marvin wasn't trying to chase trends. He wasn't trying to sound like Prince or Michael Jackson. He was just being Marvin. That smooth, sensual voice, that intimate production, that vibe that made you feel like he was singing directly to you, not to a crowd, one-on-one, personal, real, and the world responded. Sexual Healing won 2 Grammys in 1983, Best Male R&B Vocal Performance and Best R&B Instrumental Performance. It was nominated for Record of the Year. Marvin was back. He proved he still had it. He proved the industry had been wrong to count him out. Here's the tragedy. Less than 2 years after Sexual Healing dropped, Marvin was dead, killed by his own father in April 1984. He never got to see how much this song would endure. How it would become a staple at weddings, at slow dances, at late night moments when people just needed to feel close to someone. How it would be sampled, covered, and referenced for decades. If you've ever needed comfort, real, physical, emotional comfort, you know this song. Marvin understood that healing doesn't always come from talking. Sometimes it comes from touch, from intimacy, from connection, and he captured that truth in 4 minutes. Sexual Healing was Marvin's last gift to us, and we're still unwrapping it. Number 4, I Just Called to Say I Love You, Stevie Wonder, 1984. Stevie Wonder had already won 20 Grammys by 1984. He'd released songs in the key of life. He'd written Superstition and Isn't She Lovely and Living for the City. He was a legend. But then he wrote I Just Called to Say I Love You for a romantic comedy called The Woman in Red. And somehow, this simple ballad became the biggest single of his career. The song dropped in August 1984. It hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 weeks, number 1 on the R&B chart for 3 weeks, number 1 on the Adult Contemporary chart for 3 weeks. It went to number 1 in 28 countries. 28. That's not a hit. That's a global phenomenon. And here's what blows my mind. The song is so simple. No fancy production, no complex arrangement. Just Stevie, a synth, and a melody so catchy it burrows into your brain and never leaves. But that simplicity is exactly why it worked. In 1984, R&B was getting more complex. Drum machines, synthesizers, layered production. And here was Stevie Wonder stripping it all away and just saying, I love you. No metaphors, no poetry, just truth. The song won the Oscar for Best Original Song in 1985. Stevie became one of the few artists to win an Oscar, a Grammy, and a Golden Globe for the same song. And here's the kicker. The Woman in Red was a forgettable movie. Nobody talks about it. Nobody remembers the plot, but everybody remembers the song. That's the power of Stevie Wonder. He could take a throwaway soundtrack commission and turn it into one of the best-selling singles of the entire decade. I Just Called to Say I Love You became Motown's biggest-selling single in the UK. It stayed at number 1 there for 6 weeks. 6. The song sold millions worldwide. And to this day, if you want to tell someone you love them without overthinking it, you play this song. That's its legacy. It's the soundtrack to simple, honest love. Number 3, When Doves Cry, Prince, 1984. Prince recorded When Doves Cry by himself. Every instrument, every vocal, just him alone in a studio in Los Angeles, creating what would become the best-selling single of 1984. The song dropped in May 1984 as the lead single from the Purple Rain soundtrack. It hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 5 weeks, number 1 on the R&B chart, number 1 on the dance chart. And here's the part that still blows people's minds. There's no bass line. Prince recorded a bass track, listened to it, and decided the song was stronger without it. Who does that? Who removes the bass from a funk rock song and makes it sound better? Prince. That's who. When Doves Cry was ranked number 1 on the Billboard year-end chart for 1984. It was the last single released by a solo artist to receive a platinum certification before the RIAA lowered the certification requirements in 1989. That's how dominant it was. That's how much it sold. But here's what made When Doves Cry more than just a hit. The song was about Prince's relationship with one of the members of Apollonia 6. It was raw. It was vulnerable. It was Prince asking questions he didn't have answers to. Maybe I'm just like my father and too bold. Maybe you're just like my mother. She's never satisfied. That's raw. That's vulnerable. That's Prince asking questions that he doesn't have answers to. The music video changed MTV. Prince directed it himself. It opens with white doves emerging from double doors to reveal him in a bathtub. The imagery was sensual, controversial, and unforgettable. Network executives thought it was too explicit for television, but MTV couldn't stop playing it. The video was nominated for Best Choreography at the 1985 MTV Video Music Awards. And after Prince died in 2016, When Doves Cry re-entered the Billboard Hot 100 at number 20 and climbed to number 8. 32 years after it first dropped, people still needed to hear it. If you were alive in the summer of 1984, you remember this song. You remember the first time you heard it and thought, what is that? You remember trying to figure out why it sounded so different from everything else on the radio, and when you found out there was no bass, you probably didn't believe it. But that's Prince. He broke every rule and somehow made it better. Number 2, Billie Jean, Michael Jackson, 1983. Michael Jackson wrote Billie Jean about groupies who claimed he was the father of their children. The story wasn't true, but the paranoia was real. And that tension, that fear of being trapped, accused, lied about, is what makes Billie Jean so haunting. The song dropped in January 1983 as the second single from Thriller. It hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in March and stayed there for 7 weeks. 7. It hit number 1 on the R&B chart within 3 weeks. Michael's fastest rising number 1 since ABC and I'll Be There with the Jackson 5 back in 1970. Billboard ranked it as the number 2 song of 1983. And here's the part that still blows my mind. Billie Jean is certified diamond by the RIAA. 10 million copies sold in the United States alone. Diamond, Michael Jackson's best-selling solo single of all time. But Billie Jean wasn't just about sales. It was about breaking barriers. MTV had barely played black artists before Michael. The network claimed they were a rock channel and R&B didn't fit their format. But when Billie Jean dropped, they couldn't ignore it anymore. The music video, directed by Steve Barron, with Michael lighting up those sidewalk tiles as he walked, became the first video by a black artist to be aired in heavy rotation on MTV. That's not just a chart position, that's changing the entire industry. And then there's the Motown 25 performance, May 16th, 1983. Michael reunited with his brothers for a Jackson 5 medley. And then he said, "I'd like to sing my new single." The crowd went wild. And then Michael did something nobody had ever seen before. He moonwalked backwards across the stage in those white socks, and the world stopped. 47 million people watched that performance. Fred Astaire called Michael the next day to congratulate him. That's the power of Billie Jean. It didn't just dominate the charts, it created a cultural moment that defined a generation. Here's what makes Billie Jean so perfect. That bass line, simple, hypnotic, ominous. It sounds like footsteps in the dark. Producer Quincy Jones wanted to cut the intro because it was too long. Michael fought him on it. Michael won. And that intro, those opening seconds before the drums kick in, is now one of the most iconic intros in music history. You hear it, and you know exactly what song it is instantly. If you grew up in the 80s, you tried to moonwalk in your living room. You slid across the kitchen floor in your socks. You watched that music video over and over, trying to figure out how he made those tiles light up. Billie Jean wasn't just a song, it was a phenomenon. It was Michael Jackson at the absolute peak of his powers, proving he was the king of pop. And 40 plus years later, it's still undeniable. Number 1, Endless Love, Diana Ross and Lionel Richie, 1981. Lionel Richie didn't set out to write the biggest selling R&B single of the entire 1980s. He was still with the Commodores when director Franco Zeffirelli asked him to write an instrumental theme for a film called Endless Love, something romantic, something along the lines of the love story theme. Lionel agreed. He pulled out a piece of music he'd written for the Commodores that was never recorded, reworked it, and turned it in. Then Zeffirelli changed his mind. He wanted lyrics, and he wanted a duet with Diana Ross. Lionel was scared. He'd never written a duet before. Diana Ross was a legend. She'd been the lead singer of the Supremes, one of Motown's biggest acts ever. And Lionel was still the guy from the Commodores, writing love songs, trying to prove himself. But Motown made the deal. Diana agreed. And on May 8th, 1981, at 3:30 in the morning in a recording studio in Reno, Nevada, after Diana's concert in Lake Tahoe, they recorded it. Less than 2 hours later, they had their vocals on tape. Endless Love dropped in June 1981. By August 15th, it was number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It stayed there for 9 weeks. 9. It also hit number 1 on the R&B chart for 7 weeks. Number 1 on the adult contemporary chart. It went to number 7 in the UK. It dominated charts in Australia, Canada, Holland, and Sweden. And here's what makes this song the best-selling R&B single of the 1980s.
No one else will do.
It sold more than 3 million copies in 1 year in 1981. That's physical copies. People walking into stores, buying the vinyl, taking it home, playing it until it wore out.
There's only you in my mind.
Endless Love became Motown's most successful single in history, the most successful duet of the rock era, Diana Ross's best-selling single of her entire career, and the second biggest selling single of 1981. Beaten only by Bet Davis' Eyes by Kim Carnes. Billboard magazine would later call it the best duet of all time. But here's the part that always gets me. Lionel Richie has said in interviews that he thought the recording was a disaster. He'd never written a duet. The record company changed it from an instrumental at the last minute. He and Diana had to rush record it in the middle of the night because of their schedules. Diana has said their working relationship was difficult. She's a perfectionist, always on time, and Lionel had a different process. But somehow, out of all that pressure and tension and last-minute changes, they created something perfect. The song was nominated for an Oscar, nominated for a Golden Globe, nominated for 5 Grammys. It won a Marquee Award for Best Original Song in 1982, and it became the song. The one people slow danced to at weddings, the one couples requested at proms, the one that defined romantic love for an entire generation. If you fell in love in the 1980s, you probably slow danced to this song. If you got married in the 1980s, there's a good chance it played at your wedding. If you've ever looked into someone's eyes and thought, I want this forever, you know this song. Because Endless Love wasn't just about the charts or the sales or the records. It was about capturing a feeling. That overwhelming, all-consuming, I can't imagine my life without you kind of love, and putting it into 4 minutes and 24 seconds. Lionel Richie launched his solo career the next year. His first single, Truly, found him singing This Love Will Last Forever, leveraging the same theme, and it went to number 1. Diana Ross left Motown shortly after Endless Love and signed a then record-breaking $20 million deal with RCA Records. Her first album for RCA included a solo version of Endless Love. Both of them rode the wave of this song into the next chapter of their careers, and that's the legacy of Endless Love. It wasn't just the best-selling R&B single of the 1980s. It was the song that proved love songs could dominate. That R&B could cross every format. That 2 artists working under impossible pressure in the middle of the night could create something timeless.